Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into a special edition of the Auburn Live Show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. I'm joined today, as always, am by Mr. J-Head, Mr. Keith Niebuhr, Mr. Cole Pinkston. How about you, fellas?
How about you, brother?
How about you?
We are here because there's some news to discuss. Auburn has picked up a commitment from four-star running back J'Marion Fat with a PH, Burnett. That was always important back in the 90s, remember?
Yes,
No,
it
I mean,
was.
I call you Fat with a PH.
Yeah.
Fat with a PH. He has committed to Auburn. He is the number 11 recruit in Alabama. He's the number 2 running back in the country. He's a top 200 recruit overall. I'm sorry, the number 2 running back in the state, top 200 recruit in the country. He committed to Auburn over Auburn. He committed to Auburn over Florida State, Penn State, Arkansas, Ole Miss. Does that sound about right, J-Head?
Yes, sir.
He puts an end to his committing soon, who he first admitted to doing back in the middle of November under the Carnell Williams regime, his tenure as interim coach of the Auburn Tigers. First thoughts on this, J-Head. We'll go to you, big dog.
Really big pickup for Auburn. When you're looking at Auburn's roster right now, we don't necessarily have that big back that you can utilize in short yardage situations where you know he can kind of just lean on a defense to a degree. Fat Burnett, J'Marion Burnette, is a big, strong inside runner, good contact balance, has the ability to hit the home run. It's not great right now. He's probably about a 4.6 guy, but that'll get better as he continues to develop his body in the college strength and conditioning program at Auburn. But what makes him great to me is not only the size and the frame, but the vision. And that's where he kind of separates himself to a degree. And that's something you can't necessarily teach. Either you have a feel at the running back position or you don't. And J'Marion Burnette has a feel for creases and seams to hit the right hole. And it's a big pickup because of the diversity he brings to the backfield.
Keith?
Yeah, I mean, you look in-state, you're trying to, I think Auburn signed 3 out of the top 20 in the state last year. So you're trying to improve that. I think this gives Auburn a second top 20 in-state player in this class, joining Jaden Lewis. Amon Lane just outside of the top 20. So, again, you're trying to do better in-state. This is a guy the staff identified early on. The previous staff identified him early on, and that helped too because Cadillac Williams, was on the last staff and he's on this staff. So he has been building a relationship with J'Marion Burnette for a long time, for over a year. And perhaps if he's not the running backs coach, this is a different story because – if a new running backs coach comes in and they have to get to know the kid and, all that, they didn't have to worry about that. They had the relationship. Cadillac was able to feed all that info and all that data to Hugh Freeze and everybody else on the new staff. And so it was a smooth transition in that regard in terms of this recruitment. So, big all around win for Auburn. Again, this is a guy they wanted. They want at least 2 backs in the class. So now you got one done. You don't have to worry. They love guys like Kevin Riley and who's the running back out of Mississippi, Daniel Hill. There's other guys too. But, a lot of these guys are getting recruited by a lot of people. So if you can get one in the boat early, you don't have to worry about being left with nothing later on, right? And that's the danger when, if you don't get Hill and Kevin Riley, let's say, and you didn't pursue Fat Burnett, you didn't get him, then you're scrambling. Well, you're not scrambling now. Now you just need to fill one spot, and all of a sudden, that puts you as a program in an advantageous spot. Now you can sell that. Well, we got one spot left. Who wants it? So I think it's a good all-around day for Auburn. Good pickup, and it puts them in a solid spot moving forward. And the running back room continues to be good at Auburn, and it's going to continue to be that way, I think.
Cole, you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I love his game. I think, maybe he's 230 right now. Maybe he plays in college around 220, maybe 215, 220. That's his sweet spot where he can keep his speed and still be a power back. But I think he's kind of balanced, actually. I think he's got good power, but I think he's got good vision, which is something that we knocked, Tank Bigsby on a little bit. So it's such a key thing to have vision. I think he's got it, whether he's a 4.6 guy or a 4.3 guy, and he's more of a 4.6 guy. The vision is important to me. Plus the size. Maybe he has like maybe a Kerryon Johnson running style where I'm not going to outrun you, but I'm going to pick up the needed yards, right? And that's an important thing. And just to say a little bit more about his commitment, man, I to give a flex or whatever you like to call it there, Jeffrey, I had the RPM prediction in on him in February, and I'll tell you what sold me is when I went to see Alvin Henderson, the 5-star running back for the 2025 class in Elba, Alabama, who is his cousin. And I found out that day that they were cousins, and I said, now, what do you think about Fat? Do you think he's going to Auburn? He goes, he's an Auburn guy. He's an Auburn guy. I was like, okay. Well, I put in the prediction not too long after that. So
Alvin Henderson, I think he's a potential 5-star for the 2025 class, arguably the top running back in the state, if not done. I tell you what, one of the Fat's biggest fans is Zach in the back. Zach in the back, can you come to the front?
I am here.
What do you think about your boy committing to Auburn?
I'm glad that – listen, I'm so glad that he committed because I really thought I ruined all my credibility. I came on here as the producer, talked about how much I liked him. Then all the rumors came out that everyone hates him and no one was going to recruit him. I was like, oh, man, I look crazy. But, man, I've watched this film. For me, I played offense. I do not like small running backs because it is as soon as they get touched, get grabbed, they go down immediately. This guy will fight for extra yards. I like the aggressiveness that he runs with. I like running backs that run angry, and that's what I see in Fat Burnett. So I think he's going to fit exactly what Hugh Freeze does. And I agree with Keith. You have that kind of duality now where you can get a guy kind of like a Batee that we have in the running back room now and fit them together. It's kind of like the Cardinal Ronnie Brown dynamic. You had the Trey Mason, Corey Grant dynamic in 2013, 2014. So I think it fits exactly what Auburn wants to do with the running back spot.
Good stuff, man. Burnett is Auburn's 4th commitment in this 2024 class. All 4 are On3 industry ranking 4-star recruits. Amon Lane, the defensive back from Moody. Jaden Lewis, the 4-star defensive back from Anniston. Walker White, of course, the number 1 overall recruit in Arkansas. And now you've got J'Marion Burnette, the number 11 overall recruit in Alabama. Burnett, the past 2 seasons, 3,745 yards, 29 touchdowns in 4A ball, which I learned from Mr. J-Head.
Yes, sir.
As Keith said, Auburn's going to be looking for another running back. They're going to be a little bit more selective, I would imagine. Kevin Riley, obviously the kid from Tuscaloosa, is somewhere near the top of that board. Daniel Hill. The kid, Christian Clark, who came in from Arizona last week. Auburn offered him. I don't know if that was to get him on campus or because they knew he was coming or they wanted him to visit. But either way, I tell you what, the more research, Cole, I do on Ronnie Royal III from Gulf Shores, Auburn has not offered him, but he is a 4-star athlete. According to the On3 industry rankings, he is an in-state kid. And, dude, I mean, he averages almost 2,000 yards a season the past 2 years. And I think his touchdowns are almost 40. I mean, this kid's got some numbers.
Yeah, I mean, every time, to me, when I watch him, he reminds me of somebody. I mean, he looks like he shot out of a cannon when he's running, man. He's got that burst, that speed. Ronnie Royal's a guy that I would definitely keep an eye on. Now that you got a back in the boat, yeah, keep an eye on Ronnie Royal for sure.
But yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Well, you're playing with house money now. So now come the evaluation period, which I believe April 15th it starts. You get out there. Now every school practice start dates are different, but April 15th through the end of May, J-Head, you go out there and you whoever your top, whatever running back targets are, you go out and you really look at them closely, and then you reset. The board will be reset a little bit. It will. Yeah, guys look different in pads, all that stuff. Then you zero in on a couple guys and you go from there and you see if you can get this thing wrapped up by June or July, and you may be done with running back. If not, you go into the season. But again, you're playing with house money right now. You've got 1 spot filled. You just signed a kid out of the portal that's got multiple seasons left, correct, Batee, from USF, and you just signed Jeremiah Cobb. You're in a good spot. You're in a very good spot.
And don't forget about Damari Alston already being on the roster as well. So you're, like you said, Keith, you're going to be choosy with this next back, whoever it's going to be. Obviously, I think their eyes are on the Riley kid from Tuscaloosa. We'll see what happens there. But with Royal, he reminds me a lot of a guy that Hugh Freeze coached at Ole Miss and Dexter McCluster. That's really from a size standpoint, from a skill set standpoint. That's really what he looks like, and I think he brings some diversity to the backfield, very similar to the way J'Marion Burnette does. Now you get a shiftier, more athletic back that you can put in space, do different things with. So if that's the number 2 guy, hey, Auburn's doing really good in this recruiting class. But right now, more than anything, just glad to see us pick up, your second highest rated commitment in this class, a good, solid SEC running back in J'Marion Burnette, and somebody that's going to be some answers for us that we might not have had, if you don't land a kid like him.
A guy that was not on, and we pointed this out a few weeks ago, was not on Walker White's, the Auburn quarterback commit. When he committed that day, he listed 14 guys that he was going to go after. Fat Burnett was not on that list, right? Remember that, guys?
Yep.
And we thought, well, it either means one of two things. Maybe Auburn's moving on, or maybe they're trying to say, listen, we've got other options, man. You want in or what? So maybe that was a little bit of the chess and checkers kind of thing. I don't know, but I know they're happy to have him. The guy produces. He produces in a very, very good state. Any top 20, top 25 player in the state of Alabama is going to be a guy that's going to have a shot to do something, year in and year out. And so I just love what Auburn continues to do with the diversity of talent at the running back position, because I love Damari Alston. I love Jeremiah Cobb. And I think this guy, Fat Burnett, just gives you something a little bit different. And that's fine. You want some diversity in that running back room,
Yeah.
Diversity of talent, but also diversity of threat and different ways to scare the opposing team.
Hey, great pickup for Auburn, the 4th commitment, the 2024 class. I believe he might even be in Auburn today, Friday, after his commitment. And along with some other guys, we will have all those updates at Auburn Live on 3. Before we go, man, I want to take a moment. Hey, you're on our YouTube page. Click that subscribe button.
Yeah.
Hit that notifications button. So every time one of these videos pops up, you'll get alert to your phone. And you can watch it immediately and be in the know before all your friends, man. Hey, we appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. For Jay here, for Keith, for Cole, for Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay at the left lane. See ya.